Satan, I place a curse upon you. Go ahead. Tie me down to the stake, but you will never escape my hunger, nor that of Satan!
If we're going to spend a month celebrating the films of Barbara Steele, then it's kind of like a Thanksgiving table. Eventually, someone will start talking politics or religion. In the case of a month of Barbara Steele, it's inevitable that conversation will eventually turn to Mario Bava's masterpiece, Black Sunday. Also known as The Mask of Satan, this 1960s horror film set the template and the standard by which all future gothic films would be judged. Mario Bava took elements from Nikolai Gogol's Vey and combined them with Bram Stoker's Dracula. He sprinkled in a lot of additional Eastern European folklore for flavoring, and then cast the movie with Barbara Steele. This is a recipe for a film classic, and a staple in the horror genre. This film is nothing short of a 10-course meal. Black Sunday opens with a stunning set piece, one that many films that came after would try to replicate. None ever came close. Barbara Steele plays Asya, a vampiric witch who's been captured by villagers. They brand her bare back and prepare to silence her forever by placing a spiked iron mask over her face. Before they can, she unleashes a curse on the town and the descendants of all those who've gathered. That does sound familiar, right? We've covered enough films up to this point in the series that probably seems very familiar. It's important to remember that Black Christmas was the first. It's also important to understand that it's the best. Here again, you'll find Steele tasked with a dual role, both as the satanic Asa, and also as an innocent named Katya. Now, we'd see a lot more of this as her career progressed. It seemed that playing possessed and or doppelgangers was something that was just in the spirit of all things Gothic. And as the queen of Gothic cinema, it's only natural she'd take on these roles. But here, she has all the range and the direction necessary to take her performance to the stratosphere, and she does. The scene of the witch's resurrection strongly resembles Hammer's attempt 6 years later in Dracula, Prince of Darkness. And also, 20 years on from that film, Clive Barker would repeat a very similar scene for Hellraiser. There is no scene in this film that has not greatly inspired filmmakers to this day. Francis Ford Coppola's adaptation of Dracula, for instance, borrows entire set pieces and scenes. This is a staggering work, especially given that the Italian film industry was sort of notoriously cheap. One question that often gets asked is this a vampire story, or is this a witch story? And the answer is yes, both. It's important to remember that there's a distinction between the modern views of these monsters and supernatural entities and the traditional European folklore that this film draws from. So if you're looking for all the rules that you now understand to apply to vampires to be in place, they're not there. Same thing with witches. You might also be distracted by how physical the representations of evil in this film are. This isn't a film where the devil only peeks a fingernail over a cauldron. The film has aged remarkably well. There's some optical transformation effects that I would put up against anything in American Werewolf in London. And in fact, I'd be pretty self-assured that it would win that comparison. But we didn't start this series to talk about Mario Bava. We came here to talk about Barbara Steele. And yes, this is it. This is the template performance that every other villainous female would be held to. The image of Steele as Asya has become so iconic for the horror genre that you can find it virtually everywhere. And that's well deserved. Aided by top-class art direction, Barbara Steele acts more with her eyes than most actors do with their entire bodies and voices. What more can anyone say about Black Sunday? It is the film that launched both Mario Bava and Barbara Steele. It's an enduring classic that deserves to be revisited every Halloween season, and every other month too. Easily available, well worth your time, and it is a stone-cold horror classic. So, what are you waiting for?
My revenge will strike down you and your accursed house, and in the blood of your sons and the sons of their sons I will continue to live immortal!